Ah, that's the one. Hello, 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 hello. How are you doing, guys? How are you all today? Can you hear me okay? How are things out there in sunny wherever you are? How are things going? Can you hear me, guys? Just let me know. I got a funny there's some weird things happening in the internet today. I got something popped on. The link in the message. Oops, on your webpage. Okay, thank you. What's it translate? Yes. Hi all. Can you hear me okay? Sound good. Oh, excellent. Wonderful. That's really good to see you. Hello, chaps. How is everyone? Excellent, excellent, excellent. Look who's all here. Oh, you guys are great. This is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Look what's going down. Hello, everyone. How you doing? Welcome to the show. Well, tonight we drink, apparently. This is what I've been hearing around Ireland these days. Everyone seems to be having the same conversations about it. When is it starting again? When are we going to the pubs again? Keep hearing people talking about on the radio this morning saying there's going to be, you have to buy these chips. You've got to spend €9 on your food and every single place you go. And I can just imagine this happening in the middle of somewhere in the west of Ireland, a small place somewhere. Yes, I can imagine everyone will be behaving themselves exactly. Perhaps not. That would be my guess. However, how is everyone? Cameron, hello, Cameron. Did you get my email? I replied to you. I hope you got that. Timothy, what's going on? What do you mean? Are you okay? Have you got something? Jeanette, no problem at all. Welcome to even writers. We even let writers in here. Viv, how lovely to see you. Viv, I've got to say thank you so much. It arrived. It's fantastic. I just want to say that. Nobody else has a clue what I'm talking about, but thank you so much for that. Melissa, all good. Ah, Indra can hear me better. That's so good. We're so chilled after Wednesday. I absolutely, you couldn't do anything. Oh dear. Okay. Oh, absolutely. Now, Arlene, I like the way Arlene kind of gets things moving. Things are really, really good. This is really, really good. She's baking a cake. Very important. Well, if you're going to bake a cake, Arlene, you have to hand a piece out to everyone. So Jeanette said, I wrote something really good yesterday. The focus is back. Ah, absolutely, absolutely great. Ah, yes, Viv. No, it was. It was fantastic. It arrived this morning, and it was extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. So, cheers, everyone. Put my free tea. So, guys, what I'm going to be saying to you today is I just want to do a little bit of a recap so that we're all clear on what it is that we're doing, where we're going, and where we've been, so that we have a kind of sense of the purpose of everything that we've been doing. And some of you guys who have joined recently, remember that what you can do is you can go onto the YouTube site and completely free, you can revisit the whole of this training. It's there for you at this moment in time. I might be taking it away later, but it's there now. And what you can also do is make sure that you follow along with the course itself, because the course itself, which you all have, I hope you have, and if you haven't, do let me know. Drop a line in here. If you haven't, you can follow along with it, and you'll be able to get double whammy, because the way that the course is written is presented in such a way that it's very NLP based kind of course, which talks to those people who write, who have who prefer to write, information. That is going to be some of the material is presented like that. Some of it is presented as auditory materials, as audio downloads, and some of it is visual, and some of it is for kinesthetics. The kinesthetics amongst us, and a lot of actors who are kinesthetic. So we talk about the feelings that everything creates, because that's very much part of the way I like to focus on things. So do revisit, go over it again. It's one of those things. It's something you can do from now for the end of till the end. Get it into your system, get it into your brain. It's not something, if you just turn up and just think, oh, I'm just going to listen to Nick today, that's it, off we go, bye. It doesn't work. It's not like that. You've really got to put the work in. And when you do that, you'll get the rewards back. If someone said to me, how do I plan my goals? Oh my goodness, I'm really clear about them. I'm very specific about what I'm doing. I always start from a position of, like we talked about, the learning state. Do you remember the learning state? Taking your mind back to that. Just going back to that state when you were the little child looking up and you were remembering everything, that place that you can remind yourself of that. You can go back over the course and check any of that, anything that you're not clear about. Okay? So please do go ahead and do that. So when you start from a position there of coming from a place of curiosity, a place of interest, a place of excitement, then you can start to think, what are my goals? What is it that I want to create? And now we're going to go through. Now, remember, just to take you back through this is the communication model. Just a brief reminder for those of you who've not been there. Everything that we're talking about is based on this communication model. Information comes in from the outside. Let's say you get a self-tape, or in Jeanette's case, let's say you've got a writing, you've got a submission you've got to get in, you've got to get your script, whatever it is that you're writing, your story into your editor or whoever. Something comes in, and that information comes in through our five senses: the sight, sound, touch, smell, and taste. Again, these are the senses that we use when we're writing all this material. Everything I do, I try and present it to you visually, auditorily, and kinesthetically as well, so that you can understand all of them. This information then comes in through the brain, which you deletes, distorts, and generalizes. 3 processes the brain always does. Overnight, when you're sleeping, when you wake up in the morning, you feel that change. It's either because you've gone through something that shifted and your brain has deleted all the stuff you don't need, so you feel fresh, or you have that kind of distortion going on, so you feel, oh, it's all processing a little bit out of joint here, or you're generalizing something. And if you're generalizing something, generally speaking, what we want to do is to look for positive beliefs that you can generalize throughout your experience. So that's what this whole training is about: learning how to generalize positive experiences, positive feelings, and positive expectations. Because when you expect success, now look at this. This is great. Brian just says this. I visualized, how does it, let me just say it again. I visualized me walking on set chatting to the director and other actors. Out of left field, a director has offered me 3 weeks' work. How about that? Pretty cool. Absolutely. You see, I cannot tell you the number of times. Look at if you guys are thinking, if any of you are thinking of working with me doing the coaching, what happens is we carry all this stuff inside ourselves, inside our minds here. We have programs, decisions. Now, if you have a decision that you've made that you're never going to be successful as an actor or a writer, or you're not going to be able to stand up and do public speaking, if you've made that decision, that affects your map of the world, which influences your state, your emotional state, all of which transmits into your physiology, which then comes out in your behavior. That's just the way the brain works. So if you have a feeling, if you have a thought or a belief of some kind, you see, like, we've got values and beliefs that are, let's say, they're negative, that they're creating something negative in your expectation. You're assuming that you're going to be unsuccessful. If you're assuming that you're never going to get it right, if you're using language like that, and it comes from a belief that you have, which is literally just an old program running on the hard drive of your brain. And just as you can upgrade your phones, you can upgrade anything inside your mind really easily. And the way that I do it simply, easily, painlessly, and effectively. So it just literally changes. Now, obviously, I don't always do that, but that's what happens in the coaching. Brian was able to do it himself by changing the state of what's going on. When you start to visualize, as Brian was saying there, you start to see it happening. You start to visualize it. Your brain is sending out vibes at that level. You're sending out, you've raised your level of intensity. You've raised your level of energy in the world, and that sends a message to people. I'm just thinking of one of my clients, Elizabeth, Elizabeth Moynihan, who you may know. She told me, I mean, this has happened to her 3 times. Every time we do a coaching session, she gets a job. That's what happens. Because I'm not saying that's what happens. I'm not saying if you coach with me, you'll definitely get a job. What I'm saying is that's what happened to her, because the something about the energy level itself, if you're holding it in some way, and to be honest, I don't fully understand this myself. It always seems slightly magical. It's one of the reasons I call the program Total Audition Magician, because there's something extraordinary about it. But I do know that the way that we communicate often comes across. In fact, it was given to me once as, if you imagine, you know, those tuning forks that people use when you're tuning a piano. I know they have more modern versions of that, but you know the old tuning forks you could hold? If you bang one, it makes that sort of doo sound. And if you bang the other one, which is a different note, you get 2 alternative notes, right? But if you can hit 2 of these, say 2 C's, as it were, or 2 E's, or whatever it is, they boom, they literally start to vibrate at the same level, and the sound intensifies. It's kind of extraordinary, and that's literally what happens with people's brains, with people's experiences of the world. The more you do the work on the inside, you change what projects outside. That's what's going on with Brian right now. That's literally what is happening, okay? Because he's making those changes, and anyone can do it. And if any of you guys haven't got your, you know, your free half-hour call, jump on the call. I know, Beatrice, you're coming next week, which is great. Jeanette, if you want to come on, you know, come and chat to me. We'll have a chat about that. Do, you know, because this works for writers too. I've got about 6 or 7 writers as well, like Laura, who was here the other day. There's Amy, there's Christiane, there's all sorts of people. So loads of them, you know. So that's just a reminder of where we're going. And if you're going to be doing any kind of sort of goal work, you want to look at the outcome questions again. Just get very specific about that, okay? Pop on there the outcome questions and the well-formed goal conditions, exactly, okay? Then you can go through that. This is here. It's also in the course, so if anybody needs that, there is no problem whatsoever. You can just get a copy. And if any of you find, you know, you can't find it or something, write to me at peakactorsatme.com and I'll send you whatever you need in that direction. So that's what we're going to be doing. And just to remind us as well, what we've been doing, we talked a couple of days ago about the, we talked a bit about how you travel along time to create your goal, how we use the timeline to determine where exactly in your mental space you have your goals sorted, because the brain likes to know specifically where your goals are. Yeah, so that's exactly the kind of thing. Okay. Um, so that's where we're at for now. So what I want to do now is just remind you a little bit about the incongruent and congruence. Those of you who've done that, just remind yourself about that. Yeah, I've got the incongruence feeling. I know that feeling. How was that? Did you find that successful? Did that work for you? I find it fantastic, I have to say, because it's, if you ever want to do something, if I'm a little bit incongruent, then once you have this signal that recognizes, yep, I'm a little bit incongruent, I'm out of sorts, I can just plug into my congruent state now. Feeling really clear, really good. And I notice when I look back over certain things, I can see, say, let's say I look at show reels or stuff that I've done before, I know if I've done a self-tape and I'm on it, they 9 times out of 10 tend to be the ones that I nail. So I really recommend looking into that. That's a superb way of getting yourself into a good state. Then we talked a little bit the other day about the, you know, the voice, the internal voice. Did that work for you guys? How did you find that? Because that is incredibly powerful. Whenever you find yourself fighting with a negative part, so-called negative part, this is just a part or an aspect of ourselves that we've pushed down. And what happens is that's a lot of energy that we're trapping, that we're not allowing up to speak for us. We're saying it's a part of me that's, angry with my dad, or there's a part of me that's holding back my expressing myself, or there's a negative part of me that likes to, get cross and angry with people. But and on examination, and one of the presuppositions of NLP is that every behavior has a positive intention. When you think that way and act as if that is true, things really start to shift. So the more you can actually talk to that, the more you can use that understanding of recognizing there's a part of you that's causing stress and upset, the more you start to dive into that part and talk to that part, connect with that part, and always ask, what is your positive intention for me? For what purpose? Those are the questions to keep asking yourself and keep developing the relationship. I really encourage you to spend more time encouraging your relationship with your unconscious. And the part of you, any parts of you that you feel struggle with or in opposition to or you're battling against, they are the parts of you you want to spend more time diving into, because you will release. The way I notice this from coaching is that people who struggle with, let's say, a huge amount of something, whatever it is, the amount of pressure that they're holding down, when they befriend that part, connect with that part of themselves, the amount of success that they generate is equivalent to that being released out into the world. So there's lots of good stuff to look forward to. So what I want to do today is talk a little bit about one little thing about language. I just want to talk a little bit about, I'm trying to help us to become a bit more aware of things like the language that we use. I often talk to actors and they're saying things like, I'm never going to get this job. What's the point of going up for that role because I'm never going to get it anyway? Or you might say, let me think of another example. So I'm never going to. It's just never going to happen. And you're telling yourself things like, don't think about how badly you're going to screw up this audition, or don't be concerned, and you don't need to worry about all of these things. All of those things, when you're saying you don't need to, they're all negations. Two things to look out for: negations and generalizations. So the negation is whenever you're saying I don't want, ask yourself, oh, catch it. Oh, no, I'm saying I don't want to, meet this casting director. What is it that you do want? What do I want? I want to connect with her so that we can start building a relationship. Yeah? Catch that thing, because those negatives, the brain cannot process a negative. So whenever you say, I don't want, that's exactly what you'll get, which is not what you want. You want the opposite. That's why we often get confused by direction, where we're going. So really look for that. The other one is the generalization. I always screw up self-tapes. I'm forever getting it wrong. I can never be successful. I'm always failing. Those generalizations. And the way you can start to break those up, you can start to look into them in a different way, is to say, whenever you catch yourself saying, I never do this, or I'm always, when you say to yourself, and you can do this inside, it doesn't have to be with other people, you can do it to yourself, I'm always screwing up these things. You can challenge that belief by saying, always? Do you mean you have never ever been successful in your life, ever? Well, I don't mean I've never been successful. What I mean is that I wasn't successful yesterday at that self-tape. But when I think generally about what I do in life, I'm infinitely more successful now than I used to be. Can you see how you can begin to catch yourself by catching those generalizations? I remember thinking, I used to think, oh, yeah, there was something slightly sort of annoying about it, but it's a really powerful way of breaking up generalizations, because they are not true. If you say I'm always bad at self-tapes, or or let's say I never can work at the Abbey, or I'm never going to get to work at the National, or I'm never going to meet Nina Gold, or whatever your phrase is, or Jeanette, you might be saying, I'm never going to get this script in on time because I always muck it up, right? Something like that, whatever you're doing, catch it. I'm never going to get into work at the Abbey because, and the brain will be filling it in, I'm never going to get work at the Abbey because they only see a certain number of people and they have no interest in me at all. Right? Do you see what the patterns are that you are creating in your head? So when you start to interrupt those patterns, when you say, I'm never going to get work at the Abbey, never? Do you mean you'll never ever be able to work at the Abbey? Is it inconceivable that you could never ever work at the Abbey? No, it's not inconceivable because it's possible, because people do work at the Abbey. Therefore, it follows that you can. So then you can say to yourself, even though I used to have that old thought, I'm now going to start building new thoughts so that I start turning myself towards being able to work at the Abbey, which might mean making a different connection with the casting director, which might mean making a personal connection to the director. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So does that make sense? Let me know in the comments. Does that make sense? Because I really want you to understand that one. That's super important. It sounds like it's not a lot, but it truly is massive. Because when you can start to interrupt those patterns, you can start to change the way your brain. Now that's what's happening with Brian. On some level, Brian somewhere is starting to believe that it's possible for him to connect to other directors. He knows it's a possibility in his mind, so he's connecting that thought and is believing that is possible. Yeah, there you go. Look what he says. I did exactly what you're teaching us. I tried to be as specific, see it and feel it, and then before sleep, talking to your deep consciousness. Great idea. Great, great, great idea. The more you can yeah, you've got it. Absolutely, Amy. It is your outlook. And when your outlook is able to change, you change it. So that's so accurate, Eamon. It really, really is. The more you can start to unhook, it's a bit like I always think it's a bit like do you know the story about the what? How does it go? It's about the old there's a ship. I might have told you this before, but it's a great story. It's about the ship. There's an ocean-going liner going across the Atlantic Ocean, and suddenly the captain is on board and he's getting really confused because everything, all the mechanics and all the steam and the engines and everything is all starting to not work, and all the dials and everything is starting to slow down, and the whole ship starts to crumble and start to fall apart. So he calls out for help, and he calls for I'll come back to that, Jeanette. That's very good. But like that's what's happening, right? The captain is worried because everything is disappearing and all the dials are so he calls out for help, and he says he needs to the Coast Guard. Can you send me an engineer? I need help. I need an engineer. So the engineer comes across, and it's a wise old man who comes on the board like this, covered in oil-stained overalls, and they go down into the bowels of the ship, and he looks around and he looks at this, and it's all quiet, and all the engines have stopped. And then suddenly he puts his little thing down here. He picks out a tiny little golden hammer, and with this tiny golden hammer, he goes up to this extraordinary array of pipes and everything, and he gets this little hammer and he goes ding. In fact, it goes ding, and suddenly the engine starts to kick into gear again and starts to move. And the captain says, okay, that's fantastic. You've got the ship moving again. This is just wonderful. What do I owe you? And the guy says, well, that's going to be $100,000. And the guy says, $100,000 for doing that with a tiny little goat, just a little ding, just one little ding like that? That's $100,000. How on earth do you justify that? And he says, well, it's 909. It's $1 for tapping, and it's $999,009 for knowing where to tap. And that's how specific you can be with your language. That's how it's going to change these patterns. When you know the one thing that you can do to open up those things, as soon as you start to become aware of your alwayses and your nevers and I shoulds, you know, that thing they call, the American thing, they say, you're shoulding on yourself. Oh, you know, but when you say you should do something or you must do something, these are drivers of the brain. They are particular linguistic drivers. And I would like to do more about the language side. So maybe that's something we'll do at a later date because it's really, really interesting. And now what I want to do is just to give you a little thing. I'm going to call this, let's do this, I call this frustration into flexibility. Because this is about going from a place that, I've noticed this happens a lot, is that people get frustrated. They find that there's a sort of, you know, that they're doing something wrong, or they would rather be doing something different. So this is a wonderful process for helping you to achieve that. Does that sound good? So first of all, begin to imagine that this is great. Imagine you're learning new things. Step into the excitement of learning new things. The amazement, the wow of all of that. And think about some unresourceful situation in the past where you weren't performing as resourcefully as you could be. You weren't at your best. First of all, I want you to step back. Has everybody got one, by the way? Choose something really potent. Could be an audition, could be self-tape, could be interaction with an agent, whatever you want it to be. Jeanette, could be something different for you. Could be an agent, because who knows, you know, whatever. Yeah? Step back into the situation just long enough to become aware of the feelings that you're having. Then start to label your feelings. Give them a name like confused, anxious, or fearful, or spacey, vague. Wherever you're at, just label that unresourceful state. Excuse me. And while you're in that, I now want you to step out of that and detach from that event and comfortably watch yourself behaving in the way that you behaved at the time. This is now in the position of the observer, watching yourself. As you watch this movie, you'll be gathering information, both consciously and unconsciously. And now choose a feeling. As you watch this scene, ask yourself what emotion or feeling you'd like to be experiencing in that context. And label this feeling maybe centered or grounded or assertive or calm, persistent, whatever you wish you were doing that you'd like to be experiencing, that you want instead. And now, keeping that positive emotion in mind, look up and see yourself doing different behaviors in that scene that could give you the feeling you want. take the time to see yourself doing at least 3 behaviors in that situation that are different from what you did in the past. And make at least one of your choices outrageous and humorous. Put a hat on it. Make it funky. Yeah? You don't ever have to do it like that. But just beginning to think that way will really open up the possibility of flexibility in your mind at the unconscious level. And rehearse variations of each of these and revise them accordingly. Take all the time you need to do this thoroughly. See yourself doing these 3 behaviors that are different from what you did in the past. One of them will be outrage. Let yourself fly. That one. And now you're going to associate into that behavior the behavior you thought of first. And imagine you're in that situation behaving that way so that you become aware of your feelings. Ask yourself, how intensely does this behavior create the emotion you want? Now just set the first behavior to one side. And now step into the second behavior. Imagining it from the inside, looking out. And ask yourself the same question. How intensely does this behavior create the emotion you want? And finally with the third one. Outrage. Step into that. Give yourself a permission stamp to experience that. Ask yourself, as you feel it from the inside, how intensely does this behavior create the feeling you want? And now you're going to compare your choices. Which one of these choices gives you the stronger emotion or seems like the best choice? Just notice that the one you choose is the current front runner, and then set it to one side. And now step into the final choice again, checking the intensity of the emotion that you created. Compare this choice with the front runner and choose your favorite. After choosing your favorite new choice, you can hear an enthusiastic internal voice saying, "This is the one I'm going to do. This is the one I am going to do." And now we're going to make this new choice automatic in your unconscious by thinking of an external cue that will be present as the situation begins. For example, if the situation is going for an audition, the cue could be going in there and seeing the group of people there and waiting for you, or it could be seeing the casting director's face. If it's a self-taping situation with a casting director, it could be sound turnover. If it's a writing situation, Jeanette, it could be the moment that you want to start flowing more easily. Could be the moment you pick up your pen. If you use a pen, I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? Choose the starting position, the cue. And if you choose that you're dealing with an angry client on a phone, for example, the cue is hearing the angry tones on the other end of the line to associate you to put yourself into the situation in the new way. So first, imagine the cue and then put yourself right there in the situation, behaving in the new way you have chosen to program that new behavior into the future situation by doing this right now. And you can run that again. Just run that again. Seeing yourself in the new place with the cue that you've chosen to start the new behavior in the new way, in the new situation. The next time you're doing this now, just see it happening exactly the way you are planning and telling yourself it is happening now. And as you notice that, you can allow yourself to go inside a little more. And if you can, and if it's safe for you to do so, you can allow yourself to just close your eyes. Please don't do this if you're driving. If you're driving, stay awake. If you're operating machinery, stay awake. Not that you should be operating machinery, but if you are, just make sure you're awake. Otherwise, you can just slow down and allow yourself to close your eyes and go in deeper now. And you can allow your eyelids to close. And now what you're going to try and do is you're going to try and open your eyes but find that you can't. And then you just let them go again. And this time you're going to try one more time to really open your eyes, but you find that you can't. You're straining and straining, but you can't open the eyelids, so you just let them go. One more time you're going to try and open your eyes, but you can't, so you just let it go. And you allow yourself to dive inside and begin to feel good. Feel that good feeling you have inside yourself, and allow yourself to just recap on all the trainings that we've been doing, noticing that as you go back to the very first time you made a connection with me or anything we were doing, where you were, and noticing how far you've come, so you can recognize at the unconscious level the traveling that's going on. And you can feel all of those new behaviors being added, all the learnings being absorbed by your unconscious. You can feel that new sense of connection and joy and personal power beginning to extend and expand around and about your mind and body system now. And as you sit wherever you are, and if you have to have your eyes open, that's okay too. But if you can, close your eyes. And imagine that you've got a bubble around you, a bubble that's protecting you, a safe bubble, a complete pink bubble around you now. And notice that you are safe inside your bubble, and all of your new learnings are going on at the inside. They're going on deeply now at the unconscious level, and every time as you sleep and dream, you can allow your mind to just playfully run through anything that makes sense to you now. Everything that you've enjoyed, you can rerun from the inside, knowing that you're imagining and creating your future ahead of you now. And everything you want to see coming your way, begin to imagine yourself diving into those new experiences right here, right now, feeling that sense of joy and connection and success coming your way. Knowing you are safe wherever you are and confident wherever you are, happy wherever you are. And allow yourself to float up by your timeline in your bubble. You can go sailing out into the future. And you're going to go 5 years into the future now. And notice where you are in 5 years' time, 2025. You land 5 years from now in the future. And notice as you look around, all these things you can see, everything that has happened and occurred in your life, how amazing it is. The connections, the people, the work opportunities, the money flowing in, all of these engaging ideas that are happening, the new creativity sparking at the unconscious level. And as you turn around and float back down to 3 years, you can feel all of those new connections happening too. And all the way back down to 1 year. And notice that if there's some parts of it you're not clear on, your unconscious mind can just allow a mist to just cover the whole of your timeline. And as this mist begins to clear, all of those steps by steps you need to take will become clearer and clearer. And you can hear the sounds around you and the feelings around you as you make more and more of those connections, floating back all the way down towards now. You're 6 months out now, floating back. What a wonderful new year. You're floating all the way through Christmas, safe, happy, secure. Your immune system is doubling at the unconscious level. Every part of you is well and successful and connected. And you are connecting with new people and making more and more connections and spreading these new ideas and new thoughts out into the world. Investing and enrolling people, inviting people into your new world. You are connecting with other people and sending this love and this connection out towards these people now. And now you're floating back towards 3 months away. October. And now you can notice lots of new energy in life coming around now. New connections, new opportunities opening up, new horizons expanding. Feeling that sense of connection and power inside yourself, floating back 1 month away. Now you can see really huge pictures, massive pictures, IMAX screens inside your mind, connecting with your images that you've been looking for your own personal vision. As you begin to notice, you can step into those visions now and feel that connection. Feel everything that's going on, feel the successful outcome of whatever it is that you're doing, feel the way that you're connecting with anyone you're speaking to and with, the connection with your audience, whoever it may be, whether it's casting directors or writing people or whoever it is, whoever you're connecting to, feel that engagement and connection going on at a deep unconscious level and knowing that everything is flowing your way. And now you're going to come back into the room, back into now. Allowing yourself to just come back into now, back into the room, back into now. Allowing yourself just to float back into here, having a bit of a stretch, knowing that your unconscious has heard everything. Your unconscious can do anything, as can you. You can create the impossible. You will create the impossible. You are capable of more than you think you are, because as you have just witnessed, you are more than you think you are. And you know this now. Do you not? Welcome back. How we doing, guys? How we doing? Welcome back. Sean, you just missed it. You just missed it. Never mind. Made me laugh. How you doing, guys? Using your own literary voice. Wow. Yes. So important to do that. Then you won't sound like other people. Right? Achieving the impossible. How amazing is that? You enjoy that, Arlene? Yeah. All of that is there. All of that is inside you. That is your capability. You have these things. Ah, great, Katie. Time for that. Brilliant. I'm glad. Really glad. Everybody, I have to say, you got to go and give Katie Sheridan some love. Katie, Katie, can I tell the story? Can I tell a story about working with you? Is that okay? Katie, may I mention your match not found? Would that be okay, Katie? Just give me a yes if it's okay. Of course. There, look at that. So what I want to talk about is about when I worked with Katie. I think, Katie, we've been together about 5 years now, I think, something like that. And there was a time when Katie wasn't sure where she was going, what was happening. So she started doing this thing called Match Not Found. And what it was, Katie started doing this, and this is why I want you to go and give her some love. Check it out on the internet. Go and look for Katie's stuff because it's so fantastic. And she started just on her own when she was having a bit of a dip, as we all go through. And she started doing these kind of little, she got a few friends together, just two of you at the beginning, if I'm right, just two people together, and they started writing a couple of little things online, just making a little web series, starting to connect one dot to the next, having no idea what they were doing really, right? Just starting. That's so important to learn that. If there's something you want to do, just get out there, just go and do it. Don't don't hold yourself back. Just start now because you're never ready. There's never a time. And what's happened over the days and weeks and months ahead, what happened was that Katie started to connect with lots of other people. She's now built Match Not Found, and I do urge you to go ahead and check it out and give it a lot of likes and things like that. Katie's now got millions of subscribers are coming on. There's just hundreds and thousands of people are coming on. She's been connecting to YouTube. YouTube are connecting with her now. They need her now, that way around. Now, you see, this is what I mean by thinking outside of the box. When you start looking at something like that, now, so many actors I coach with would say, I'm not doing anything like that. Social media for actors is a complete waste of time. It doesn't get you any work, it doesn't do it. Ah, beg to differ. What it does is it does other things for you. And what's happened is it builds your confidence and the connection. Not only that, but Katie's been with her friends and partners. They've been through the entire process of actually creating a movie. Because you have to write the script, you've got to get the actors together, you have to get the microphone, you've got to get the cameraman, you've got to work out your takes, you have to edit everything you do. You're going through exactly the same process. Okay, the scale may be different, that's true, but it's the same process. So not only has Katie boosted her confidence, so she starts to feel better about things, so when she's feeling great, she then goes into an audition and she's feeling on top of the world. So she starts to connect with all of the, I think, didn't you get something like 3 commercials in a row or something? Something like that, just going and feeling confident. You can make a lot of money like that. And now you suddenly make a lot of cash. That takes a lot of the stress off your life. Now you can do other things, right? This is the way you've got to start thinking. You really, really need to think in new ways. And that's what this kind of work is all about. So if any of you guys want to sign up with me for some coaching, do that. I really recommend it. It's like you'll see things you didn't even know were there. So do think about that. So that's where we're at today, guys. I hope you had a good time. Melissa says, feeling alive, thinking alive. I love going to this place with. Good, good. That's great that you do. It's exciting and empowering. When you're going inside, when you're going inside and discovering that's what's going on inside, is that it is exciting and empowering. Do more of it because you will feel that. right? Yeah, look at this. Nice one, Katie. Absolutely. 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 You know, it really does make these connections happen. And it's like, it's extraordinary what can happen. The energy that changes around you. Yeah, absolutely. You had a great run of commercials. Absolutely. Oh, that's right. The Audition Achievement Accelerator. Yeah. But your first commercial, and it rolled on from there. That's right. So those of you guys who've not listened to it, get hold of the Audition Achievement Accelerator. It is so powerful. What it does is it puts everything together. Yeah. Well, Katie, you take that in. And like I'm going to suggest to Katie now what I suggest to everybody. Whenever you get a lot of love coming your way like that, or you have a win, or people recognize something and you feel good about that, just go inside for a moment and allow yourself to digest that, to own that, so that it becomes yours. And that becomes the new place for where you're going to go. Yeah? Yeah, look at these. Everyone tramping. Yeah, there's Katie Sheridan. Absolutely, absolutely. And that goes for all of you guys. So listen, guys, I want to just thank you all very, very much indeed for doing these lives. I think, God, I don't know how many we've done now. Probably it's about 30 odd. Kind of extraordinary. It was great because I remember thinking back at the beginning of it. I thought, oh my God, am I going to be able to do this? Can I do it? Can I work out what happens if it all goes wrong? Or, right? You know the way the brain goes? But whenever you want to do something you don't want to do it. Well, let's put it another way. When it's something you know you want to do, but your brain's telling you you don't want to do it anyway. That's what feel the fear and do it anyway means. Because you know what happens? You push through. And that's what's up. I should do the horn. Absolutely, do the horn. Yeah, Katie Sheridan. Absolutely. So guys, first off, just want to say thank you so much for this. This has just been a wonderful experience. I really, really, really looking forward to you. And guys, I'm just going to let you know that I'm going to step back a little from this. I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I'm not quite sure when I'm coming back on, but I will be back on to do these. But I won't be here on Monday. So I'm just going to be taking a little bit of a break. And it might be a week, maybe a little long. I don't know yet. I'm not sure. But I'm just going to step back a bit. So I want to say thank you so much for all of you for coming along. Please, if you haven't had your half-hour free call, Indra needs a call. I think Indra needs a call. Indra. Indra, I'm definitely going to have one. Maybe not. But look, there's no pressure. If you don't want it, it's fine. No problem at all. But I think you will find it very useful. If anyone else, is there anyone else who needs one? Viv, come on, come and do a call. That would be cool. Who else? Melissa's done. Jeanette, definitely do one. Beatrice, we're meeting on Monday. Cameron, absolutely. Just tell me, Cameron, did you get my reply to that? Just let me know. I'd love to know that. Yeah? Just let me know. Me. Yes, Siobhan, definitely book one in. Absolutely. Eamon, book in a call if you need one. Definitely. Yeah. Will let us know? Yes, absolutely. I will, Beatrice. Definitely. Of course, I'll let you know. I'll send out an email. I'll still be coaching and all that sort of stuff. So don't worry. You know, I'm not disappearing. I'm just taking a bit of step back. Okay. So please do that. And good man, Indra. Yes. I sounded like a teacher there. Indra, you must book the call. Otherwise, Harry Potter will come and mess with your brain. Something like that. Okay, so do these, guys. Those of you who can, love to see you. And take great care. Speak to you all very soon. Lots of love. Yes, good man, Cameron. Definitely do that. Absolutely. Ah, yes. Oh, I'm so glad, Arlene. Thank you. I really appreciate that from the rainy Dundalk. Definitely. Yeah. Take care. Cheers, Viv. Thanks very much, everyone. Have a lovely weekend. God bless. Yeah, Katie, thank you. Inspiration always. Take care. All the best, guys. Lots of love. Bye now.